Hi, my name is Cindy, and I want to welcome you to the birthing recording of Embassy Outreach. About 2 weeks ago, in the middle of an ice storm, I was listening to a friend of mine who's a pastor, and he was talking about an embassy and what it means to have an embassy. And that an embassy is a location, by definition, a resident of another country existing in a land that is not their own. And we are the residents of a kingdom that is not of this world. And the place that we choose to establish here on earth, that is established by God here on earth, is an embassy. We are ambassadors of a heavenly kingdom. And there are implications of an ambassadorship, of representation that doesn't have to align with the ideology of the country in which it exists. I spent a lot of the last 6 months deeply impassioned and involved, not just months, but actually several years, involved in the political arena. Not myself directly, but in support of and working with other people who are running, in order to make a stand and support those who stand for godly principles in the republic that we call the United States. The past several months, the past year has been incredibly traumatic for many people from a lot of different perspectives. From a national perspective, from a religious perspective, from with the shutting down of the churches, with just the breakdown in our ability to join together. And even those who have been students of the word for many, many years, we've lost the ability to connect with people that are our mentors. And then in the process, many of those mentors have gone home. They've died. And that's heartbreaking. But before it causes me to reevaluate and my purpose. It causes me to reevaluate my own purpose. What do I want? What legacy do I want to leave behind? Okay, what do I want to? I went to see the doctor this afternoon, this morning actually, and I was kind of talking about it, and he said, "Oh, you want to talk about what's in the dash?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I don't get it." And he said, "Between the date of birth and the date of death, there's a dash." And he said, "And that's the stuff that's really important. What's in your dash?" I went, "Oh, that's so cool." I have a story. And we were kind of talking about it. We're talking about my story. Okay, I was talking about my story. But I do have a story. I have a very, very involved, very complicated, very unusual story. The good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, that's life. Okay, life sucks, and we have to deal with certain aspects of life. It's incredibly wonderful and incredibly painful and incredibly insightful and and incredibly embarrassing. I mean, there's just things in our life that we have but they comprise the stories, the things in our life actually comprise, no, our testimony is comprised of the things in our life. And the Bible tells us that we overcome by the word of our testimony and the blood of the Lamb. So I know this is true. I know this is true. I can't speak for anyone else. I can't tell anyone else's story because it's not mine. But I know this, the things that I've lived through and the things I've experienced and the things that I've lived and the wisdom that I've gained is mine and mine alone. No one can take that from me. No one can, they can try and say, well, your perspective is dot, 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 or that's not right. You know, don't tell me how I feel and whether or not how I feel is right or wrong. I mean, I deal with pain all the time, okay? Let's talk pain. Don't tell me that my back doesn't hurt if I'm sitting here and I'm telling you my back hurts. Don't tell me that. Because it's my story, it's my testimony, it's my perspective. We overcome by the word of our testimony and the blood of the Lamb. Our testimony is nothing unless we recognize it as a tool or as a testimony of the power of God. Outside of that, it does no good for somebody to talk about all the horrible things they've done in their life unless they're going to talk about how they were overcome, how the power of God changed their perspective and their priorities and their focus in their actions. That's powerful. That's the testimony. Now, without a Savior, without the recognition of someone, the Savior, the promised Messiah, without the recognition of the Messiah coming and giving himself to give us life and a hope and a peace and a purpose and a new passion, a new DNA. Without the recognition of that, our stories lack power. I could tell you about me, and I will. I'll do my story. But what I really want to do is, in this window of opportunity, in this season that is so quickly passing, we have to reassess what's in our dash and move from being a person of dreams to a person of action. There are people who have action, and I want to talk to them because I want to know how they went from being a dreamer to an achiever to an overcomer, you know, and to carry that message on to other people, to give them hope and to give them life that and possibilities that they wouldn't have otherwise. There are other people that are doing videos and stuff like that and doing interviews of different kinds of people, different walks of life. And I said, why me? why me? What? Embassy outreach, the outreach of the embassy here on earth to take the message of the ambassadors, their stories, and move it forward and share it with the people. There's a lot of people who can do that, and they all have different perspectives. And so my question was, why me? Why would you want me to do this? Because I don't get it. I don't understand. And I think the bottom line comes down to that everyone brings a different perspective and a different experience and life experience to the table. And I've been a student, personally, a student of people of the Bible, of God, of faith for over 50 years. I know, I'm not that old. Oh my gosh. Okay, over 50 years. And the only reason that I'm going to tell my story is because I wouldn't ask somebody to go someplace that I'm not willing to go myself. Hold on, brain buffering. Buffering. Why me? Why me? My brain doesn't work right. Okay. I want stories. I want to hear people's stories. In the past, please forgive me. Please forgive me, Lord. Give me the words to say, so I don't have to do this. A couple weeks ago, and I did this on another video, but I should put makeup on today. Comb my hair. A couple weeks ago, I lost not a dear friend, but a friend, an acquaintance. You know, we talked occasionally, and he was a publisher, and many people around, around the area know him. But he was a publisher, and he was here, and he was busy, and he was active, and he was touching lives and making things happen and putting together groups of people. And I mean, and then he went in the hospital, and in a week he was gone. I wish I could say that he's the only one in the past couple of years that's happened to, that were here and then gone. In the past week, I've been greatly impacted by the loss of Carmen, this singer. In my day, I learned a lot from his music. I was able to learn about some pretty deeper concepts about the world we live in from his music than probably any teaching that I received in a church, because I wasn't in that kind of church. That we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, we wrestle against principalities and powers and rulers in dark places. And you start talking the champion by Carmen, it changed my perspective, and probably in that season probably changed a lot of people's perspective. And we've watched him in the last couple of years come, have cancer again and overcome it, and then he's gone. There's Rush Limbaugh, outspoken man with solid foundation, eloquent, heartfelt, direct. And a man who loved God. But it wasn't his primary focus. It wasn't his primary focus. That's why you didn't hear about that. He found that place, that niche that stood up for biblical values in the face of a very unbiblical society, but still stood for a conservative voice. But here's my point. He's gone. We're at a season right now where mortality meets agenda, the way I like to put it. Our mortality meets our agenda. We have plans. We have things we want to accomplish. We want to move ahead. We have things because we should plan. We live in this world. We should plan. We should be wise financially. We should be wise relationally. We should be wise, in a lot of different ways. But when mortality meets our agenda, the dynamics change. Because you have to look at it and say, this is the scope of our lives. Gone. Gone. I am a blip. I'm a tiny blip in the radar of eternity. So that's it. I'm a blip. I've got this much time to impact my world. You have this much time, that much time in the scope of eternity to impact your world. What's going to be on your dash? I know this. And I've taught through the years, I've said, yeah, ride the wave. I'm telling you, there's a wave. When the wave comes, you grab the wave, you ride the wave, and you ride it out. Because it is not going to last. It's not going to last. You know, 3 weeks ago, we were in the dip between the waves. That slick part that gets squirrely. This is that kind of a wave. This is that kind of season. And I'm very passionate. I'm very excited about it. I'm very passionate about it because I recognize the window, and it's going to open. And there's going to be people that are going to be able to walk through that window very quickly. And then it's going to close. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. But I understand the concept of ride the wave, and I understand the concept of walk through the door while it's open. If you wait, you're going to miss the wave. You're going to miss the window. My heart at this point is to record as many stories as I can. I want to talk to them. I want to talk to them. I want to find out. I want to talk to mentors and say, what makes you tick? What was your biggest struggle? What was your deepest valley? How did you overcome? Because how did you find hope when everything looked hopeless? How did you do that? I need to know. I've dealt with hopelessness. I've dealt with discouragement. I've felt everything come out from underneath me. But I need to have the hope that somebody else has already walked through it, that's willing to share that hope with me. And not just with me, but with other people that are walking this out. Because over the past year, the people I've lost have been for a wide variety of reasons. But a few years ago, some of y'all know I deal with a condition called Arnold-Chiari malformation. I'm not going to dwell on it in this video because it's not relevant. I will fill in the physical aspects of what I struggle with every day on another video because it's not what's most important. What's most important right now is overcoming. And I can't speak for other people. I can speak for me. This is what I know about me. That I want the people I know and love, at a minimum, I want them to know what makes me tick. I want them to know when I say, I know whom I have believed, and I am fully persuaded. Not a little, I am fully persuaded that he is able to keep that which I commit to him. Every little stinking thing, every passion, every flare prayer, those I love, he is capable of keeping that. which I've committed to him until that day. That day. My prayer every single day is that he take and he, whatever the gems are, whatever they are, wherever they are, that he help redeem. And I don't like the religious terminology but I just want him to preserve. I want him to preserve the golden nuggets that he's invested in me and in my life. And I ask him every day to help me let go of the garbage. I don't have the brain space to hold on to the trash that would clutter up or would hamper whatever he's got left in this life for me. My life's been unusual. I mean, you want a synopsis? Like Saturday racing go-karts at the track, Sunday running motorcycles, Tuesday cotillion, horseback riding during the week, Christian school, married, raising kids, birth 3, raised 8, pilot, homeschooler of 30 years. It's all crap. It's all crap. I'm sorry for the terminology, but it really means, that stuff means nothing in the scope of history or in the scope of eternity. It means nothing. So what matters? What matters is what I've learned, what I can invest in somebody else's life. Because, the bottom line, and most of us as parents with grown children, most of us recognize that really the vast majority of the time our kids are not going to listen to what we say. Can't tell you I was really good about listening to what my parents said. I can't tell you that. But this I know. What they see, what people see, walked out, is very, very different than what somebody sees talked out. Because, look, let's face it, everybody knows the right things to say, even if they're lying. A pathological liar will tell you all the things that you want to hear, and it would be a total lie. The trees know better than the roots and the fruits. And if it's got no fruits, it's just a plant. So, all that being said, embassy outrage is the outrage of the embassy. The embassy is our safe place here on earth. Supposedly. In today's world, it's not even safe, because we know what's happening to embassies all over the world. But I know the one who establishes the embassy. There are embassies of countries that are not firm, because they have no backup. Then there are embassies that are backed by a strong and powerful hand that says, you really don't want to screw with my ambassadors. You really don't. Because if you mess with my ambassadors, you're going to have to deal with me. That's the king I serve. That's the king I serve. I know him. In closing, like a preacher closes, right? Give me another 30 minutes. today is today's Purim, and Purim is when Queen Esther appeals to the king. It's a very powerful story, and because I think it's important, how do people do this? I'm gonna break it down, and you can find it in the link. Just kidding. I don't have a link. But I will, I'll do another video, and I'll find a way to kind of put it in a place where if you want to know, it will help explain some of the story. We are ambassadors. We have found, make sure that you found, that you're walking and that you know that you found favor with your king. That does not require perfection. It requires a heart for the king. And you can't have a heart for the king unless you know him. Getting to know him is actually really simple. And I have to say this because it's important. Getting to know him is actually really simple. Look, I'm just going to tell because I overcome by the word of my own testimony and the knowledge that he's got my back. All the things I've done in my life, all the places I've been, things I've seen, they could have gone one way or the other. Greatest likelihood, I've been rocking in a corner. I have that t-shirt. I've known a shattered heart. I've known loss of my body, of my hope, of my family, of my resources, of everything that I thought that I drew security from. But the one thing that I could never, ever, ever lose was the hope of heaven. My hope of heaven is so much for my makeup, right? My hope of heaven has maintained sanity for me and kept me from suicide many times. Times when I did not think I could go on. I will pour out. I told my doctor today, I will pour out every last breath I've got, every ounce of energy in this body. I will pour out to give somebody else hope. I will. I told him, I go, hey, look, you're going to have to put the pieces back together. And he said, he chuckled and he went, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I said, but you understand. I will take care of myself the best I can. But I will not allow it to keep me from doing the things that I feel are really important. We don't have time to screw around. We don't have time to waste. We just don't. For a multitude of reasons. You know, a week ago it was my friend the publisher. 2 weeks from now it could be me. Well, crap. could be you. I don't know. If you want to message me, I'd love to talk. But I want to hear us work it out and go, oh man, we got to reframe this. Let's talk about a faith that defies logic, that overcomes the hard things in this world. Let's talk about that. I want to hear your story. How did you make it? How did you survive? How'd you come through? I'm making a list of questions, that I want to know from people. I want to know how to get through. And I want to be able to share that with somebody else who doesn't even know, they don't have the answer. They don't even have the questions for the answers. Let's talk about it. It's worth. Let's do this. If you want to talk to me, here's where you can find me. I don't have a website or anything. Well, kind of do, but don't. Firebird. Because I will be a firebird. I will be a phoenix. Firebird at embassyOutreach.com. I don't want money. That's not what I'm about. I want stories of hope. I just do. Yeah, I think that says it all. I'm going to share this video with a handful of people. I don't know if it'll ever go like public or anything like that, but I put makeup on so so that maybe it would be more appealing. Let's snatch people with our stories. Let's snatch them like phoenix from the ashes. Let's encourage. Let's fan the flames of the spirit of hope. The spirit of God. I don't want to find another way to say it. You're nothing. I am nothing. I am nothing without him. I love you all very much. Thanks for listening.